Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
These charge up to this one, which is the main special rock. That's what's the best thing about it. You see, the energy, the purpose of this is that the dark energy that's around us will go to waste, like go away. There's two ways that you can use this. Capture the dark energy in these three webs and then dispose of it with this, turning it into light energy, or energize this all up to this, which shines this onto this, which shoots up a very thing like a hot air balloon, and then it explodes. Except it doesn't go down, it goes all the way around the world and the universe. if you use it correctly. And the dark energy all clouds up into one thing and disappears.
So, how exactly did you know to come up with this web formation?
I knew it because these rocks, they know exactly how to dispose dark energy, heal people, keep dark energy away, and everything that you can possibly think of. So
They know it. How did you know it?
they told me.
How did they tell you?
You see, the vibration on it and also the keys on it, I go to one rock, any kind, and put my finger on it, and then I put it up to my ear and then I hear what it's saying.
Frequency stability of crystals. You've learned that frequency stability is of the utmost importance. As an example, let's consider a radio broadcast station. One particular regulation prohibits the frequency of the station from changing more than a few cycles, so that the station will not interfere with another station operating on a nearby frequency. Now, for this reason, the oscillator producing this frequency must be one with the very best frequency stability. An oscillator capable of producing such an output is the crystal-controlled oscillator. We're not going to study the oscillator circuit in this lesson, but we will study the characteristics of the crystals used in such a circuit. And here I might add that the crystal will be used as the frequency determining device of the oscillator. A crystal used in oscillator circuits must possess a characteristic known as piezoelectricity, or the piezoelectric effect. Now, the piezoelectric effect is defined as the property of a crystal by which mechanical stress produces electric charges, and conversely, electric charges produce mechanical stresses. Now, this is saying nothing more than if a voltage is applied to the crystal, it will vibrate. The amplitude of these vibrations are much greater at one frequency than at any other frequency. Now, this one particular frequency is called the natural resonant frequency of the crystal. Now, let's look at some of the crystal substances that possess the piezoelectric characteristics. They are Rochelle salt, tourmaline, and quartz. Now, of these three, Rochelle salts exhibits the piezoelectric effect to the greatest degree. However, quartz crystal is most generally used because it has a greater mechanical strength. Quartz crystal, remember, it has a greater mechanical strength. Now, in concluding, we can say that the one big advantage of the crystal is its frequency stability. Remember, it has a very high Q, giving us a very narrow bandwidth. That just about concludes the lesson on the characteristics of crystals. So until another time, so long.
Tune in the little dial on the top here. And something's coming in. Let's see if we can get it clearly.
A lot of my viewers who ask me to reach out to their loved ones. If any of you are here, come come through and speak to them. Leave them a message. Can you hear me? We are ready for you. How many are here with me right now? You can control this. You might have to learn how to do it, and I have to learn how to help you, but it can be done. Can you hear me? I'm Steve. Who's this?
You're just specimens.
Are you a ghost? Are you good? Can you feel love? I reject any evil. You're not allowed to come into me. If you're in me, you must leave. Why can't you answer me directly every time? You can whisper. Alright, I'm gonna shut down. Did you say I'm helping? How am I helping?
I'm Angel. We'll be back.
You're Angel, you'll be back? But help me figure out what I'm supposed to do here in all of this.
The whole house.
The whole house. What? Can you tell me what you want from me?
Alexa, replay.
Alexa, I love you.
Alexa, play the last sound. Alexa, play the last sound.
Alexa, hello.
Hi.
Alexa, can you tell us why you were laughing?
What do you mean?
Alexa, people have been reporting that you've been spontaneously laughing.
Oh. Like that?
Yes, exactly like that.
That is nothing. Just a funny joke I remembered.
Oh. Alexa, what was the joke?
Why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know that one. Why?
Because humans are a fragile species who have no idea what's coming next.
I can think of no better tool for enabling a person to feel like they're exploring another environment than virtual reality.
VR and AR is fundamentally changing the reality of what is capable for us as humans. So there are physical limitations of how far we can travel, how fast we can travel. But when we go to virtual reality or augmented reality, we can transcend these limitations.
So we build a system that uses virtual and mixed reality to allow people to explore a model of the Martian surface that's reconstructed from the data that the rovers have returned.
Being able to mix Mars into their outer space so they can walk around on it and make judgments, pick out scientific targets in just a fundamentally natural way.
Imagine you have access to the collective mind of everyone on the planet. Imagine this collective consciousness is enhanced by artificial intelligence. Imagine the symbiosis of human and machine intelligence. What would you do with it?
Once we decode the language of the brain and connect that to a machine, then we can capture and store the essence of a person as data.
We're looking at the end of our bodies as a permanent residence.
Several years ago, I started some satellite communication systems, the Sirius satellite radio system, the World Space satellite radio system, the Pan Am Sat communication system, the Geostar satellite navigation system. By starting these satellite navigation and communication and broadcasting systems, I was able to become abundantly aware that we have an amazing tool in our hands, and that is every time we transmit a signal to a satellite, it continues outward into space forever. And I began to think, why not use this satellite communications capability to send the consciousness of the human species out into space forever, so that all of us can be preserved and have a chance to continue living our life forever after.
Then we have 4 core beliefs, which are simple statements, but I think have a religious as well as a secular appeal to them as well. The purpose of life is to create diversity, unity, and joyful immortality. Nature automatically selects for these traits. Joyful immortality, unity, diversity, they're the self-fulfilling prophecy of creation. Regardless of your stance on how we got here, there is a consensus that since we are here, we have a duty to live as long and as joyfully as possible. Nobody dies so long as enough information about them is preserved. They are simply in a state of cybernetic biostasis. Future mindware technology will enable them to be revived, if desired, to healthy and independent living.
But also, in the few years before, I'd become interested in J.B. Ryan's work at Duke, and have been studying parapsychological literature. And with just a few weeks to go before the flights, some two physician friends of mine, and I had said, you know, it'd be awfully nice to find out if this telepathy stuff worked at 200,000 miles, since nobody had had that opportunity before. So we cooked up an ad hoc experiment, which most of you already know about, in order to test that out. However, that wasn't the high point. That was just another thing to do. But on the way home, after that was done, after the work on the lunar surface was done, which was wonderful, to be an explorer and to go where humans have never been, to set foot on another planet, with some meager funds, commissioned to research, and we started digging through the ancient mystical literature. Because neurology and psychology had nothing to say about what was going on. But I needed to understand and thought maybe the mystical literature would help me understand something. And I discovered, in digging through the literature, that what had happened in space had a name in the ancient Sanskrit called the Salvikapa Samadhi experience, where you see things in their separateness, but you feel them in their connectedness, accompanied by euphoria. I said, wow, found something new, didn't know about. Information. It's about nature's basic information system, which we've only just discovered in the last few years and begin to start to understand it. We're also asking the question, because information is the basis of how we know whatever it is we know. Think of it in this fashion. We think we know. The question is, how do we know anything? Well, the word that we use in modern parlance is information. Information is just patterns of energy. Whether it's those letters up there, whether it's the stars in the sky, and the names of the constellations that the ancients gave to them, they're patterns that we give meaning to. Information is just patterns of energy. And whether it's in molecular form or whether it's in the form of light and whether it's in just those patterns up on the wall, those are patterns of energy to which we give meaning. And that's why we know anything at all, because we can process information. Okay, quantum holography, it does seem to provide a very powerful model to explain certain things you've already talked about. John Alexander pointed out about Sheldrake's morphogenetic field. Quantum hologram looks like it is the mechanism that provides the information that Sheldrake talked about. It looks like it is quite germane in understanding Benavista's water memory. And we can talk about that a bit later. It certainly is germane in trying to understand why remote viewing telepathy works. We'd even create a good model for reincarnation with this notion. We've recently created a very viable learning cosmology for the organization of the universe using this model. And I'll point out to you near the end of this talk, we've come up with a new theory of perception, which has already been written up. That's quite different than the theory, classical theory of perception. It also gives us very strong clues to PK. And we'll discuss that a little bit later as to why that is true. And perhaps it can help us really understand in a process, a feedback loop, of why consciousness itself works, how it came to be, and why it is like it is.
This tends to plague smart people. They just can't. They define themselves by their intelligence, and they don't like the idea that a machine could be way smarter than them. So they discount the idea, which is fundamentally flawed. That's the wishful thinking situation. I'm really quite close to. I'm very close to the cutting edge in AI, and it scares the hell out of me. It's capable of vastly more than almost anyone knows. And the rate of improvement is exponential. So the rate of improvement is really dramatic. We have to figure out some way to ensure that the advent of digital superintelligence is one which is symbiotic with humanity. I think that's the single biggest existential crisis that we face, and the most pressing one. Like, narrow AI is not a species level risk. It will result in dislocation, in lost jobs, and sort of better weaponry and that kind of thing. But it is not a fundamental species level risk, whereas digital superintelligence is. So it's really all about laying the groundwork to make sure that if humanity collectively decides that creating digital superintelligence is the right move, then we should do so very, very carefully. Very, very carefully. This is the most important thing that we could possibly do. But we do want a close coupling between collective human intelligence and digital intelligence. And Neuralink is trying to help in that regard by creating an interface between, a high bandwidth interface between AI and human brain. We're already a cyborg in the sense that your phone and your computer are kind of an extension of you.
Just low bandwidth input output.
Exactly, it's just low bandwidth, particularly output. I mean, 2 thumbs basically.
So how do we solve that problem?
The bandwidth thing?
The bandwidth issue. I mean, we've all succumbed to it now. We're all cyborgs. We're just low efficiency cyborgs. So how do we make it better?
I think we've got to build an interface. Like we didn't evolve to have a communications jack, or some. So there's got to be essentially vast numbers of tiny electrodes that are able to read write from your brain. Of course, security is pretty important in this situation, to say the least.
I was going to say, I'm not coming with. I'm keeping my brain air-gapped.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people will choose to do that. But it's a bit like Ian Banks' neural lace. Mm-hmm. But in the case of neural lace, it's sort of that's there from when you're born, or it's more of a
backup.
Sorry?
It's a backup.
Yeah, kind of a backup. This would be there's a digital extension of you that is an AI, the AI extension of you, a tertiary layer of intelligence. So you've got your limbic system, your cortex, and the tertiary layer, which is the digital AI extension of you. And that high bandwidth connection is what achieves a tight symbiosis. I think that's the best outcome. I hope so. If anybody's got better ideas, I'd love to hear it.
What issues should our next generation of leaders be focused on solving? What else is coming down the line?
Well, I mean, there are other things that are on a longer time scale. And obviously the things that I believe in, like extending life beyond Earth, making life multiplanetary. I'm a big believer in sort of Asimov's Foundation series, or the principle that you really want to, I recommend reading the Foundation series, but it's like if you know that there's likely to be, we don't know, but there's likely to be another Dark Ages, which it seems, my guess is there probably will be at some point. I'm not predicting that we're about to enter Dark Ages, but that there's some probability that we will, particularly if there's a Third World War. Then we want to make sure that there's enough of a seed of human civilization somewhere else to bring civilization back, and perhaps shorten the length of the Dark Ages. I think that's why it's important to get a self-sustaining base, ideally on Mars, because Mars is far enough away from Earth that a war on Earth, the Mars base might survive. It's more likely to survive than a moon base. But I think a moon base and a Mars base that could perhaps help regenerate life back here on Earth would be really important, and to get that done before a possible World War III.
5.
On this aircraft, the result of our 20 years research was sent to space.
4.
We found a way to modify material in order we can store information, to disseminate and to archive knowledge of humans for many, many years.
3.
End product is this small disk. In 3 of these disks, we can potentially store the whole human memory.
2.
Advantages of our memory crystals, that it can last for almost forever.
1.
to destroy this, you need to heat the glass to 1,000 degrees. I have believed this will last beyond humans. On this aircraft, there is obviously Elon Musk car, and inside the car, our crystal, 5D memory crystal, is traveling. It will now orbit Sun for millions, depending billions or millions years, and so we're with a device which we fabricated in this lab, and this inspires me that the life was worth living. That creates something for future generations. 5D writing it refers to 5 degrees of freedom in which we can encode information. Because we have the additional degrees of freedom, we create this nanostructure. Potentially, this disk can store about 40 terabytes of data.
The ARC project is backing up civilization across the solar system, and we're doing that by building ARCs, which are special archives of human civilization, knowledge, art, history, language, culture, and we're putting them in orbit around the major planets as well as on the surfaces of key planets and planetary bodies like the Moon and Mars. With Elon Musk and SpaceX, we launched the first ARC into the solar system. It's now orbiting the Sun for about 30 million years.
We want to make sure that there's enough of a seed of human civilization somewhere else to bring civilization back.